All right, everybody. Hello, welcome. Happy Jackie Robinson Day, and thank you so much for being here at the 2025 Padres Breaking Barriers Forum. I'm Mary-Louise Cook. I am the San Diego Padres sideline reporter and pre- and post-game show host, and I'm really excited to be moderating the forum today. I think you guys are really in for a treat. So this is the fourth year of the Padres Breaking Barriers Forum, and it's held in conjunction with Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball. Now, the forum was created to pay tribute to our very own barrier-breaking player, Johnny Ritchey, who you're going to learn more about momentarily here. But in the meantime, I want us all to take a quick look at Jackie Robinson's story of breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball.
On April 15th, MLB celebrates and honors Jackie Robinson, a true pioneer.
He is a credit to baseball and to America.
In 1947, he shattered the color barrier, becoming the first African American to play in Major League Baseball. His on-field talent made him a first ballot Hall of Famer, but his courage and perseverance made him a legend. Alongside his wife, Rachel, they relentlessly fought for equality and representation. In his honor, Rachel established the Jackie Robinson Foundation, focused on empowering communities through education. By providing scholarships, mentorship, and leadership programs, the foundation continues to open doors of opportunity, changing lives and shaping futures.
These young people that we're supporting will carry on the legacy with hope and with spirit.
We are Jackie Robinson. Today, we remember Jackie's on-field greatness and honor his enduring legacy.
I'm sure that in the immediate future, things are going to improve a great deal.
His vision lives on in the hearts of millions and continues to spark change worldwide.
All right, so that was a very cool video and very, very inspiring story. I encourage all of you, if you haven't really done the research on Jackie Robinson, that was a little bit glimpse into his life, but amazing man, and we're excited to celebrate him today. But I want to now introduce the CEO of the Padres, Mr. Eric Grubner. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Mary-Louise. I want to welcome, first and foremost, the students that are here today from San Diego High School and E3 High School. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you walk away today feeling inspired by the stories that you're going to hear from the panelists that we have today that are going to tell you a bit about barriers that they've each broken through in their lives. San Diego High was where Johnny Ritchey went to high school. For those of you on campus, I hope all of you have had an opportunity to see the mural that we put up there a few years ago that has Johnny's picture, basically, in the PCL Padres uniform. It's a really proud legacy that the San Diego High School community has. I understand the two baseball coaches there are historians and are making sure Johnny Ritchie's story continues to be told to the student population that goes through that school. In particular, I want to thank SDG&E. We have a couple of representatives from SDG&E that you're going to hear from that are with us today. We have a Going to Bat for San Diego program that the Padres and SDG&E have partnered together on, and this Breaking Barriers Forum and what we're going to do pregame tonight with the Johnny Ritchey Scholarship Awards are all tied to our partnership with SDG&E. So thank you very much for your partnership on that. I also want to thank Mary-Louise Cook for taking the time today to help moderate this panel. I want to thank our three panelists who you're going to meet in a moment, Rolf, Derek, and Lilli, for taking the time today to share their inspiring stories. And I just want to say a couple of brief notes on Jackie Robinson, and then I'm going to introduce Tom Seidler, who's going to say a few words about Johnny Ritchey. But Jackie Robinson, 79 years ago today, broke the color barrier in major professional sports, Major League Baseball. So this is the 78th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier. That is something, and I can say this as somebody who's worked in Major League Baseball for the last 15 years here in San Diego, it's something that we take a tremendous amount of pride in as a sports league, Major League Baseball, that we led all of Major League professional sports in America with a story of bravery and courage with a player like Jackie Robinson that finally opened up something that should have been opened up long before that, which was the opportunity for everybody to play together on the same field, judged only on the basis of their ability to go out and play and be a good teammate and be successful on the field. And that's the greatness of what America can be at its best, is all of us together, not seeing differences, but seeing commonalities, seeing each other as teammates, not as adversaries or different, but all part of one team. And that's why the story of Jackie Robinson is so inspiring. It gives hope to our country. It gives hope to professional sports. I hope it gives hope to each of you that there's something better than what we've achieved before as a country and a society that's still out there for us to get. But we're only going to get it if we continue to look at similarities and love each other and not look at each other as different. So with that, I want to introduce Tom Seidler, who is the president of the Padres Foundation, and Tom's going to say a few words about Johnny Ritchey and also welcome some of Johnny's family members that are with us today. Tom? Right.
Thanks, Eric. Did you all get a chance to see the exhibit upstairs?
Aye, sir. Yes.
Again, I saw it yesterday, but I didn't have a whole lot of time, so I look forward to coming back. It'll be here till the end of May. And I don't know if there's anybody from the California Masons who's here, helped us fund that to bring it here for 6 weeks. But as Eric mentioned, April 15th, 1947, Jackie Robinson becomes the first black player and the only black player at the start of that season in Major League Baseball. That year, 1947, Major League Baseball was only as far west as St. Louis. So the western half of the country did not yet have what we call Major League Baseball. The Pacific Coast League was the highest level of professional baseball on the West Coast. And so 1 year later, 1948, the Pacific Coast League did not have any black players until Johnny Ritchey signed with his hometown San Diego Padres. Johnny not only went to San Diego High, went to San Diego State, served in the Army, and played in the Negro Leagues, but the San Diego Padres signed him to be the only black player in the Pacific Coast League. So all up and down the West Coast, he was the only black player on the field for much of that season, and he was, in many ways, the Jackie Robinson of the West Coast. So we're proud to have Johnny as a big part of San Diego history, of Padres history. We're proud to have his family here today, his daughter, Jana, and her husband, Carlos, and his granddaughter, Carly. Do you guys want to stand up for a minute? It's been great to get to know the Ritchey family. We're sorry we didn't get a chance to meet Johnny, who passed away 22 years ago, but his legacy lives on, and we'll continue to do things like this to keep his legacy alive. The other thing, Eric mentioned it, pre-game today, we'll have 10 Johnny Ritchey scholars, 10 first-generation high school seniors, first generation to go to college. And thanks to our partnership with the Masons and with Reality Changers, we're helping to keep Johnny's legacy alive in that way. He was a great student, and we're going to help kids whose family has never sent anybody to college to go on their way. So I'll turn it back over to Mary Luce, I think, and enjoy the program and enjoy the Padres game tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Eric, as well. Now, San Diego Gas and Electric, like Eric did mention, has been a valuable partner and contributor to this program, as well as countless others that help our community. On behalf of San Diego Gas and Electric, I am pleased to welcome Kazim Omidiji, Director of Community Relations.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here in front of you here on behalf of SDG&E. Quick show of hands, who have heard of SDG&E before, San Diego Gas and Electric? All right, I'd love to hear that. But really, in my role, in my capacity, we manage all of our nonprofit partnerships. So we work with over 400 nonprofits across the service territory to help benefit the community. And for Breaking Barriers, we're proud to be part of this effort with the San Diego Padres, and in honor of Johnny Ritchey. Personally, when I think about the challenges, the barriers, the things that they had to overcome, I think of myself in their shoes. And so when you're listening to our panelists here today, think about them and think about you being in their shoes as they overcome some of these challenges and these barriers. And you will hear a couple of themes, you'll hear a couple of qualities that usually everyone speaks about, right? determination, never giving up, right? Never quitting. And I want you all to think about that in your own daily lives, and how do you overcome your challenges and your barriers on a day-to-day basis, right? And it's always being determined. Always, how do you persevere over these challenges? And again, you'll hear their stories. Their stories are incredible. And really, I appreciate the opportunity for SDG&E to be here in front of you all today, but certainly in honor of Johnny Ritchey and certainly Jackie Robinson Day. So thank you all for being here. You've done the first step of just being here and listening, and understanding what is to come and what's next. And I really wish you all the best of luck as well. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kazim. And now it is time to introduce our panelists. I'm really excited for you all to meet them. I tell you that when I got their bios, they were very, very extensive. And so I took a lot of time to kind of pick out the things that I wanted to highlight. But I mean, they're some really interesting people who have overcome some significant barriers. So I'm excited for you all to learn from them. So first off, our first panelist, and she's also our youngest, Lilli Ethier. She's a powerful voice for youth overcoming adversity. After surviving a childhood marked by trauma, abuse, and medical challenges, Lilli found herself in the foster care system at 12 years old. She lost her mother to suicide just 2 years later, and then found herself homeless at 17. Through the support of organizations like Urban Street Angels and the Youth Assistance Coalition, she found hope, healing, and purpose. Today, at 23, Lilli works at Urban Street Angels, running the 8 West Job Training Program, where she teaches youth how to make and sell handcrafted soap, which I think is so cool and full circle. She also volunteers extensively at YAC, where she runs the donation closet, organizes monthly art groups, and serves as president of the Youth Advisory Board. Lilli is passionate about dismantling the stigma around youth homelessness, using her story to amplify and inspire change. She has shared her journey on KUSI News, Fox 5, and in local publications, showing others that trauma does not define you. Hope and healing are possible. Please welcome Lilli Ethier. Welcome, Lilli. Excited to have you here with us. And when I was chatting with Lilli before, I was telling her how cool it is that she's the panelist who is the youngest, so she's closest in age to all of you, and I'm excited for you guys to learn from her and her story. Okay, so our second panelist is Derek Loccident. Derek, did I say your last name correctly? Because I was practicing it. Oh, I did? Okay, fabulous. Okay, I was practicing. Derek Loccident is a Paralympic track and field athlete whose journey from tragedy to triumph is nothing short of inspiring. A former standout football player at the University of Central Oklahoma, Derek's life changed in 2018 after a train accident led to the amputation of his left foot. Refusing to be defined by this setback, Derek turned to para-athletics and now competes internationally in long jump and sprints. He's a silver medalist in the long jump T64 category at the 2023 World Para-Athletics Championships, and recently made history by becoming the first T64 athlete to clear over 2 meters in the high jump at the 2024 championships. Featured in the documentary Steps by OKC Thunder Films, Derek continues to prove that obstacles can be fuel for greatness. His story is one of grit, heart, and unrelenting perseverance. Derek, welcome.
There's a lot of history behind where I am today.
I'm Derek.
Proverbs 16:9. We can make our plans, but God determines our steps. There's a lot of hard days and a lot of painful days that I just, felt like quitting and just not wanting to do it anymore, but, I stuck through and gutted it out. I'm gonna be able to bounce back from this. This is not what's determined my life, who I am as a person. come back from this and, you know, make something great of myself. Find a way to the finish line.
My allergies are acting up right now.
Oh my gosh, that video is beautiful. Very excited to hear more from you in a little bit here, Derek. Now our final panelist, Rolf Benirschke. He is a former NFL place kicker who played for the San Diego Chargers from 1977 to 1986, retiring as the team's all-time leading scorer and later being inducted into the Chargers Hall of Fame. In the offseason before the 1978 season, his second season, he learned that he had ulcerative colitis, a form of inflammatory bowel disease. His condition worsened during the 1979 season when he collapsed on a team plane and required 2 emergency surgeries to remove his large intestine. He spent weeks in the ICU and weighed only 123 pounds when he was released. Incredibly, he returned to the NFL in 1980 and went on to play 7 more seasons. Off the field, Rolf has become a national advocate for health, wellness, and patient empowerment, using his story to inspire others facing adversity. He briefly stepped into the national spotlight as the host of Wheel of Fortune in 1989, which is very, very cool. He's done a lot of things, and I think that's so interesting. And he continues to give back through community work with the San Diego Zoo, United Way, the Chargers, the San Diego Blood Bank, and the Boys and Girls Club of East County. Every year, he's in charge of the Rolf Benirschke Legacy Golf Invitational, held at the Rancho Santa Fe Farms Golf Club in Rancho Santa Fe, California. And some of the money is donated to charities such as the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America and the Prostate Cancer Foundation. He grew up in San Diego, graduated from UC Davis. He and his wife, Mary, have 4 children. Please welcome Rolf Benirschke.
Rolf Benirschke has an opportunity to kick the San Diego Chargers into the AFC Championship game. The snap, it's down, he hits it, it's up! It's no good! Benirschke feels, I'm sure, just broken about that play, hoping that he'll get another chance.
For most, missing a winning kick in one of the greatest games in NFL history would be a bitter disappointment. But for Rolf Benirschke, it was simply another step in a journey that began in 1978.
The second season of my career, I came down with what I thought was the flu. I had fever, I had abdominal crampiness. There were 3 or 4 other guys on the team that had it as well, but theirs went away and mine progressed. That season was one of the most statistically successful of my career, but there should have been a little footnote that said the young kicker was dying.
At the time, it was very difficult to grasp just how sick Rolf was getting. Oh, your stomach's upset. You'll be fine. What, you had too much to drink last night or a bad burger? We weren't ready for somebody to be that sick.
Benirschke was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, a chronic digestive disorder in which the cause and cure are unknown. Rolf suffered in silence for over a year as treatments failed to control the disease.
On a flight home from New England, I collapsed on the plane, and my colon had perforated. I needed surgery, and there were complications, and 6 days later I needed a second surgery. I woke up weighing 123 pounds with 2 ostomy bags on my side, not sure if I'd see the next day, and frankly not sure if I really cared to.
Shortly after his release from the hospital, with his body frail and his spirit weakened, Rolf was invited to a game. When news of Benirschke's visit reached the Chargers locker room, it was fitting that Louis Kelcher, a Bunyan-esque defensive lineman from Texas with a heart to match, convinced Coach Don Coryell to allow Rolf to be honorary captain.
Let's do this thing. You know, let's let the world know that we love him, that we're behind him.
I was worried that I couldn't walk from the sidelines to the middle of the field. And Louis said, if you can't walk, we'll just have to carry you. And as I walked out, the stadium spontaneously stood and applauded. I had no idea that they had been following me. And by the time I got to the middle of the field, I was just in tears.
Watching Big Louis holding hands with a little kicker. It's pretty neat.
All of a sudden, it was just a thrill to be alive. That profoundly changed my recovery. and it would give me encouragement to keep trying.
With support from fans, family, and friends, Benirschke returned to the Chargers in 1980. A year later, Rolf's courage would be tested again in one of the greatest games ever played.
In many ways, that game was like a metaphor for my life. When it really didn't look like I was going to live, I was spared and given a second chance. In this game, a kicker misses a kick in overtime, they never get a second chance.
The 29-yard field goal try to win it. The snap. It is down. It is up. It is good.
Remarkably, I was given a second chance and was lucky to make it. That made me realize the same opportunity exists in life. The question then becomes, how are you going to use it?
I go back to Rolf always preaching, it's the journey, not the destination. I'm thinking, who would put somebody in a situation like this to experience this journey? Why? Maybe that was all part of the master plan.
I heard somebody say once that wisdom is a tough teacher. She always gives the exam first and teaches the lessons later. And once you hang in there, then the lessons come out.
He's had that opportunity, and he's made the most to share as much of him as he can. And well, that's what you hope to do in life. And he's done it.
A cool note about Rolf, too. So I moved to San Diego last year to start my job with the Padres, and my grandmother lives here, and she's very, very involved with Rotary, and he was the guest speaker that day. My grandmother knows that I love sports, and so she was like, you have to come see the guest speaker today, and it was Rolf. So I was so excited when I found out who the panelists were going to be for this forum today, and I was so excited that I got to speak with Rolf. So
Thanks, Mary Louise.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Very awesome story. Now, with so many of you guys being high school students, I think that it would be very fitting to start off with a question. We'll start off with Lilli, and then we'll work our way down here. But where were you in high school? We got a little bit of a glimpse of where you were with the bio that I shared with everyone, but where were you in high school? What did life look like for you at that time? And did you imagine that you would be in the situation that you are now at 23 years old for you, Lilli?
Well, hi, everyone can hear me? Yeah? Okay, perfect. Well, a little bit about me. I was in the foster care system when I was 12, and the home I was at was not really good. I was pretty much like a mother to 10 children. So I would go to school, do all my homework at school, come home, take care of the kids, bathe them, feed them, get up the next morning, get them ready for school, and that was my day. Over and over, and I never felt like I was able to experience life or high school because I was always having to take care of others. And then I became homeless at 17 when I was a sophomore in high school, and I felt that I didn't have a future because of my past, and I was letting that past of my family's past and then also my past take control of how I was feeling and how I dealt with things, and I gave up on providing a future for myself. I saw no hope. And then I got connected to Storefront, a shelter for minors, and I slowly started to gain hope, and I got connected to Urban Street Angels, where they had peer support services, and they helped me really one-on-one, and there was someone else also that was there that used to be at Urban Street Angels and got services, and that provided hope for me that seeing someone go through also a hard time and experience homelessness and past traumas and take control of that and help others as well, I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So that's when I started to take control, and I actually graduated high school when I was 19, and I was able to get my own apartment. And during that time, before I graduated, I felt that I didn't have a future, because when I was 12 or 17 years old, I never knew what I was going to do with my life, and then now I know what I want to do with my life, and I can see that I can also help others as well. So, yeah.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Derek? Yeah. That does deserve a round of applause for sure. Now, Derek, what about for you? High school, I'm sure a lot of football going on for you. Did you tell us what you were doing in high school, what that time looked like for you, and then did you see yourself being in the shoes that you are today?
Yeah, so football has been a part of my life for a majority of my life. Played Little League football to middle school, high school. And around my junior years when I really started to get under myself with playing football and receiving scholarships from other schools. And, now seeing myself, like, I did not visualize anything like this. I didn't know nothing about the Paralympics or what it held and what it was about. But ever since my accident, I started to learn a little bit more and was getting around the crowd of, other individuals that are amputees and learning a little bit more. But when my accident happened, I just couldn't give up the game that, gave me a lot of opportunity, that gave me the opportunity to be able to, a scholarship with, long lost friends that have been able to be around. And so when I transitioned into track and field in the Paralympics, I was able to see, the world of opportunity of individuals that are kind of looked as less than. And I felt like that, throughout the transition when my accident happened, felt like I was constantly being looked at as a individual of being less than and being needed to be guided or helped. And so when I started to transition into track and field, I feel like that gave me the freedom and open mind of being able to accept that and live through that and be accepted and not be afraid or ashamed of that as well. So I didn't, I'm very, very pleased and happy to be where I'm at and glad to see a lot of growth from back then to now in myself.
Now, Rolf, what about for you? Because I know you were living on the other side of the country, playing totally different sports than the one that you ended up playing professionally. What was life like for you in high school? And did you imagine that you would be where you are today?
Yeah, thank you, Mary Liz. First, great to meet you. And glad your grandmother brought you. And this is a treat. Thank you, Padres and San Diego Gastronomic. This is really a treat for you all. And I hope you leave recognizing the stories of these are amazing stories. I don't feel like I compare to this, but I remember high school vividly. I was raised back east. I was a hockey player, a ski racer, tennis player, soccer player. But my dad was an immigrant, and he was German. Came over after the war, experienced all kinds of racism. He had a thick German accent, wanted to be a physician. They denied him a license initially, and ultimately it was people around him that he had studied with, gone through medical school with, that stood up for him, and he was given a license. And it changed his world. He became a physician, and he was recruited out here to help start the medical school at UCSD. This was 1970. I was in the 9th grade. We had just won the state championships in hockey. I was convinced I was going to play college hockey. All my buddies, we were just best friends. We beat the biggest teams in the state. And 2 weeks later, my dad comes in and announces to my older brother and younger sister, we're moving to California. We're going, you didn't ask us. Well, we're moving to California. This was 1970, right after the wild 60s. Marijuana, free love, all this stuff. From this conservative little town, we moved right into the heart of it. And I hadn't grown yet. So I was going into 10th grade. I was 5'4". I was 110 pounds. There was no hockey team. There's no ski team. The tennis team was the best in the nation. I didn't have a soccer team. But I was sort of coordinated. So in gym class, the gym teacher happened to be the wrestling coach. And he saw this 110-pound kid, and he comes up to me one day and goes, we don't have anybody for the 112-pound wrestling team weight class. You need to come wrestle. And I was starved to be on a team. I love being on a team. There's nothing like being in a locker room, being with your buddies, pulling for something. So I joined the wrestling team my sophomore year and hated it. I'd never seen a wrestling match until I was in one. And I was in it for 17 seconds when I was pinned. And that was the beginning of my high school here in San Diego. And it changed finally. My junior year, we started a soccer team. And that's where it's relevant because in California, soccer, as you know, is played in the winter. Back east, soccer is played in the fall, opposite football. So I was always going to be a soccer player. I was not a football player. But here it's in the winter. And literally, it was right when soccer-style kicking was becoming popular in the NFL. And literally one day after soccer practice, 3 of the guys in the football team came over and said, "Any of you guys ever kicked a football?" 6 of us raised our hands. Literally the only footballs I ever kicked was as a junior high kid walking home across the Dartmouth athletic fields on the way home after school. We would throw lacrosse balls, kick footballs, kick soccer, whatever's in season. So next thing you know, we're having a kicking competition. I mean, don't tell anybody, but it's really easy to kick a football if you can kick a soccer ball. And I could always kick a soccer ball. And the next thing I know, I'm kind of the last guy standing, and I'm making fun of my buddies. But what we didn't know was the head football coach was watching. And he came over and he says, "Hey, we don't have a kicker our senior year, your senior year. Why don't you kick?" And I'm thinking, no, you got to play both ways, and I don't want to, that's not. He talks me into playing, and it changes my life. So the reason for the story is this. It was devastating news to have my dad come in and tell us, "We're leaving, we're moving to California." I didn't know a soul. I'd never been in the ocean. All my buddies were back there. Everything I knew was there. That was completely ripped out from under us. It was devastating. And it turned into one of the great blessings in our lives. Not just my life, introduced me to professional football, ultimately. But my dad got involved at the university, started the research center at the San Diego Zoo, and changed all of our lives. So the lesson is, when something bad happens to you, don't judge it. Play it out and see what becomes of your life.
Hindsight, really, it's 2020. It's 2020. Now, Lilli, I know for you in your journey, there were a lot of struggles, particularly with your family, but now you've gotten to a place where you found a chosen family. How important has that been for you?
For me, growing up, when I never had someone that I could talk to or feel safe with, and now I have created this chosen family from my experience of being homeless. So at YAC, Youth Assistance Coalition, there's a lady there that has taken me in as her own daughter, and I never felt that experience before. For last year, I went on a vacation with them, and it was my first vacation where I felt safe, where I felt that I could actually relax, because I was always in fight or fight mode. I was always worried that something's gonna happen, and now I feel like I could breathe. I know who to go to when I need help. I know that no matter what's gonna happen, that I have someone by my side that will always be with me and always be there for me, whether it's I make a mistake or I succeed, and that is a feeling that I never had before, and I'm always forever grateful to find my family. Even though I had to lose a lot of people, I had to realize that yes, they're my birth family, but they're hurting me, and that I can take control of that and find my own chosen family, that I don't have to be alone.
That's really special, yeah. Family isn't always the people that you're born with, but I'm glad that you've found your people. Where did you get to go on your vacation?
We went to Mexico.
Okay, fun. Good for you. Now, Derek, for you, you talk about football. It was a part of your life from a very young age. Then your accident happens, and I would imagine that your identity was largely tied to the sport of football. At what point after your accident did you realize that you still wanted sports to be a part of your life? Because I feel like after something like that happens, I mean, you could kind of just give up on sports. You could choose to have that kind of an attitude, but you pursued a different sport. How did you realize that you wanted sports to still be a part of your life? And what did that look like, letting go of football for you?
The awesome part is I was surrounded by a lot of great people. My coaches, family, friends, they've surrounded me and wrapped their arms around me and supported me throughout the beginning process of, being in the hospital and the release of the hospital. But my coach decided to allow me to keep my scholarship even after my accident without even returning back to football. So he told me that. And so, but just being able to just walk around the campus and I just felt a shell of myself. I wasn't myself. I was kind of just nervous about just going out in public and being seen in front of people. And I think what helped me the most was being able to get around my teammates, just the locker room environment, just being in that environment, in that habitat, and allowing my teammates to, show me the same love without seeing the physical of me, and seeing me for me. And that's what led me back to return back to football and playing football with those guys, and the love that they showed me, helped me grow and become back, to myself and growing as an athlete and learning myself patience, being patient and wanting to grow and learn and adapt to certain things with learning how to, control the prosthetic and manufacture things into a way like I can be able to move on the field. And so that's really what helped me. And then in track, it's kind of the same thing with the people that I've been able to meet. When I received my medal at the Paris Games, I was very excited, but I was more pleased with the journey that I went through to that moment and the people that I've been able to, help and inspire. There's a young kid that I'm currently mentoring. His name's Elijah, and he's joined and played football and now running track and baseball because of me, and seeing him at a young age and growing into this young man and being able to transition into sports and without a single flinch, whatever's thrown at him, he doesn't flinch. There's always an answer for him. And he's told me, like, straight to my face, like, any record you set, I'm here to break it. And that's how it should be, That's how it should be. I want him to, because I see that in him. But I see he sees a version in me and him, which is also awesome to see and be a part of. And that's what I want to be. I want to be a mentor to other individuals with disabilities and be the voice for them and be able to help guide them whenever, they need help. And so, yeah, that's very, awesome. Yeah.
2 quick follow-ups for you. How old is Elijah?
Elijah's 13, a big 13 though. He's 5'10". He's a big old kid.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
He's bigger than me.
He's trying to size me up. He's starting to bench and get in the weight room a lot more, and now he's trying to size me up. And he's a lot stronger than I think, Okay. And so he's a very bright and joyful kid. He loves what he does and enjoys being in that environment where it's very chaotic, but yet he's very calm in those moments.
And how did you get connected with him?
I met Elijah at my first track meet in Oklahoma.
You did? Okay.
Right after my 100-meter race, I walked over, my prosthetist told me he wanted me to meet somebody, and I looked at Elijah, and he's just standing there looking at me, but no words exchanged or anything, just him looking at me. And that's when I really clicked. I can be, someone that can help others, and that's when it led me back to football and track. So being able to see that, have that experience, that's the moments that I think of when I receive the medal. I'm like, man, it's awesome to be able to hold this medal, but the journey that led me into it is what made me, Yeah.
Very cool. I know Kazim said earlier that you were going to see themes here today, and perseverance was going to be one of those themes. But a theme that I'm hearing Lilli, you speak, and then now you speak as well, Derek, is community and family and mentorship and the people that you're surrounding yourself with. So, Rolf, for you and your journey when you're struggling with your sickness, you're coming back from that, maybe some of the other challenges in your life as well, when you moved across the country, who were the people that you surrounded yourself, that you relied on, who kept you grounded and supported you?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. And what a story, Derek, man. So I went through an illness, got sick in my second season in the league. I tried to keep playing. I mean, let's be honest, I'm a kicker. I'm not a football player. These are the real football players. And there's only one. You're either the starting kicker or you're unemployed. So I kept trying to play. I got sicker and sicker, losing more and more weight. Finally, the season ended. Tried every traditional medicine to come back and play my third season, and collapsed on the team playing 4 games into it. Needed surgeries, 2 surgeries 6 days apart in the same hospital where my dad was a physician. And my doctor's telling him, we don't think Rolf's going to survive the night. And I shouldn't have. This was 1979. I was septic. I was massively infected. I have 105 fever. I have a near-death experience with the Lord that night, and I survived the night. And then I survived the next night, and the next night, and I spent 6 weeks in the ICU, the doctors fighting my infection. 2 months of being in the hospital, I get released to the care of my parents. I'm 24, and I look around and I go, I wish I had died. I wish I had died. Lord, I'd made peace with you. Take my life. And he didn't take my life. I looked at my life. I love sports of all time. I'll never play that again. I've got 2 bags on my side to collect my waste. I'm making my living as a professional athlete. I'm going, for sure that's over. And I'm 24 and I like girls. And I'm going, that's pretty much over too, Lord. Just take my life. And I didn't die. And I went into this really dark place of, I was angry, I was scared, I was ashamed. It wasn't fair. My body had always been there for me, and now it was taken away. Nothing I had done. It wasn't fair. Some of the teammates would come by and friends would come by, and I'd tell Mom, I don't want to see him. And Mom would be very polite. Says, Rolf, I'll tell her here, but there were 2 teammates that said, I don't care. We want to see Rolf. I get emotional. They picked me up. I'm 120 pounds. They put me in their car and they drove me up the coast. Got to see this beautiful place we live in. I was really emotional. They brought me back. And one of them said, you got to read this book. And it was a book written by a POW who had been shot down in Vietnam. He was in for 5 years. He got married. 2 weeks before he went, he was 18. Went in, became one of the most decorated aviators in Vietnam War. Gets the word in 5 days he's going to get released from the military, go home to be with his wife. He flies his last mission, and he gets shot down. And he spends 6 years in the POW camps in Vietnam, where every day he is tortured. Every day. If he says in the book, if you told me I would be there 6 years, I would have ended it the first night. But we didn't know that. So we learned to do things that I applied to my life. And he said the first thing we learned to do was to break time down into bite-sized increments. So for him, it was just get to tonight, because tonight they stopped beating us. We'll worry about tomorrow, and Saturday, a week from now is an eternity away. Just get to tonight. So when you're going through whatever challenges you're going through, and you are going to go through challenges, nobody doesn't get them. Here's what they shared: break time down. The second thing he said was set small, achievable goals. So every day he would do 100 push-ups, 300 sit-ups. He'd walk his cell, which was 8 feet across, 50 times a day. Then he would memorize the name of everybody in the camp in case he got released. He could tell people were there. And then he dreamt 1,000 dates he would take his wife on when he got out. For 6 years. The third thing he said is we had to learn to accept help from others. So if you think of the spectrum of people least likely to accept help, you would argue it's the military on the very end, right? Taught to be totally self-sufficient, defend themselves. Next to that might be athletes, because we can't show weaknesses, because if you don't have a good backhand, they're going to feed you backhands until you either learn it or lose. And maybe next to that is men in general, right? We don't ask for help very much. So they had to learn to ask for help. And the fourth thing they said, we got to wrestle with God. Is there a God or not? So he does this, survives. I started applying it to my life. I got a chance to meet him, and I got a chance to meet him. When the war was over, they fly him to Seattle, and the first call he makes is to his wife. The wife, he dreamt 1,000 dates to take her on. And there was no answer. So he calls his mom. He goes, Mom, where's Sally? I'm trying to call. The mom goes, oh my gosh, Charlie, we thought you were dead. Sally hung on for 4.5 years. And she's married and pregnant. So what got him through 6 years is now taken away. And he has to start his life over. And he does. And he starts to speak and he shares those lessons, ends up getting married, has an amazing story. For me, when I came back to the locker room, because I was still under contract with the team, I was allowed to work out there. I was 120 pounds. I couldn't curl 5 pounds. I couldn't jog 50 yards. I gave up. I gave up. But people around me didn't give up. And one of them was our strength coach. He put his arm around me and he nursed me back to health. 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. And with the disease out of my body recovered. Until one day he said, do you think you can kick a football? And I said, I have no idea, these bags will stay on. We went out there and we kicked, and I was crushing it. I hadn't been healthy in 2 years. So then I did something really stupid. I called a meeting with the owner of the team and asked, will you just give me a chance to try out? Just a chance. No special dispensation. The team was beloved by this community. Some of the old, there's nobody old in here. Back in the day, when the Chargers were here in the 70s and 80s, this team was beloved. They were beloved. Sold out. You couldn't do anything opposite the game. They did a blood drive to collect the blood that I needed 80 units of blood. That blood drive lasted for 35 years. It was always the largest single blood collection in the nation because this community loves its sports teams. So I went to the owner, will you give me a chance? And he should have said, Rolf, city loves you, but there's 100 kickers in line. None of them have ostomy bags. But he didn't. He said, if you can prove to the medical staff that you can protect yourself, go talk to Coach Coryell. And because of that, I was given a chance to play again. And I played 4 years with bags. I had 2 more surgeries to get rid of them. And played 7 more seasons, 10 in all. But that first preseason back, when I had to walk into the locker room and take a shower with my teammates, where I'm wearing ostomy bags, was so frightening. I didn't know what they'd do. Would they make fun of me? They should have, could have. They did the opposite. Get emotional. These are guys, big, strong, that came around me and protected me. They allowed me to be myself. And in the process, I got comfortable recognizing that I was given a second chance to live, a second chance to play, and now a mission to encourage other patients who go through my illness. And for that, I'll be forever grateful. And the lesson is, once again, devastating things will happen to you. Things you can't even imagine. But if you play it out, they can turn into incredible, incredible blessings. Yeah.
Okay, we are getting a little bit to the end here. Your stories are all so good. I wish we had all the time in the world. But if there are any questions from any of you in the audience, I would love to see a raise of hand maybe. And if you want to ask anything, you can. Otherwise, I have some final questions for our panelists. Yes.
How did it feel with the bags around your waist or it's like her excellent?
Yeah, how did it feel with the bags? Yeah, it was awkward, you know. So what happens is I had to take my colon out. And so you have what's called an ileostomy bag, and you collect your waste. And you drain it before you play, and it slowly fills up after you, but you learn how to do it. There are 100,000 ostomy surgeries a year. And one of the things that I've learned, because I didn't choose to, but because of the visibility of the NFL, a lot was written about what I went through. And I started to receive letters from patients, 50 letters a week. We would play a away game. Denver, Dallas, Seattle, Kansas City. Oftentimes, the local sports writer would do a piece on me, and it would prompt letters. I'd come back to the locker room, there'd be 50 letters. You know, Rolf Benirschke completely misspelled, simply San Diego Chargers. And the letters were all the same. How can you play football? An ostomy. I'm trying to, it's like fill in the blank, go to school, go to work, be a dad. And I remember trying to write them all back, but pretty soon they're hundreds. So again, I did something silly. I went to the manufacturer of the products I was bringing, brand new company, said, we got to do something. They go, what do you want to do? And I go, we got to tell stories. People think their life's over. I can't be the only guy that got his life back. So I created a program for the company called Great Comebacks. And we started to tell these stories that blew up this little restrictive box we thought we'd all live in, right? Can't play sports, can't travel, never have a family. No. We wrote stories of triathletes, police officers, firefighters that went back to the force, a guy that climbed the 7 summits, the tallest mountain on every continent, including Everest, with an ostomy. And it gave me purpose for my life. And it broke a barrier. People didn't know that you could do that stuff. President Bush's brother has an ostomy. Tip O'Neill had an ostomy. I can name celebrities that have ostomies that you'll never know. They're concerned about destroying an image. But the reality is you can literally do everything. And that's the way I'm spending my life now, encouraging others.
Awesome. Any other questions? Okay, see a hand here, and then we'll go to you after, Carlos. And then you'll be next. Yeah.
I noticed you all shared that in high school you didn't expect yourselves to be here now. What is it like being here, knowing that years ago you didn't see yourself being Aaron?
Who wants to take that one?
Why don't you start?
Well, for me, it's kind of like a shock, to be honest, because I went from severely depressed, struggling mentally, and struggling what my life was going to be, and I felt that my life had no hope because of what I've been through and because of my family's background, that it was just going to be the same. And looking, let's say, so this happened 5 years ago. I was homeless, and looking back now of how much I've grown, how much I found a voice, and how much I've truly never given up on myself, and I kept being brave through the fear and just kept on pushing, that I realized that things happen for a reason, and things only happen, nothing happens to you, but happens for you. So that's what I have to say.
For me, I would say, looking back, I saw myself as being very small-minded to certain situations or things, because I did not would ever visualize myself being a traveler, and now in the position where I am now, being able to travel the world to so many places that I've never dreamed about going to, and being in the positions where I'm at right now, and being able to talk to the people that I've talked to and inspired. It's very, very cool to see the growth within that, and seeing the young man that I was before, and seeing myself being more than that person that I want to become growing up. And so that's very, very cool to see in that, and want to be able to share to kids like you that it's very, very possible to do what you want to do, but it could turn out the total opposite and become 10 times better. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it's similar. I had no idea that I had this grit inside of me or this ability to persevere. I just didn't. And the only way I discovered it was being put through these trials. And I would suggest all of us up here wouldn't trade the trials for how it changed us. And you can't possibly know that where you are. We didn't know that in high school either. But life's going to throw things at you. It's going to test you. And you have two choices. You can stay bitter, and I was. It wasn't fair. I was 24. Our team was good. We're going to the playoffs. I'm having success. It wasn't fair. I was angry. You can stay bitter, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Or you can choose to get better. And ultimately, it's a choice. It's a choice every one of us has made. You're going to make it. And when you choose that, people come around you. People are there to encourage you, open the door, give you a hand up. They recognize that. And you get emboldened by it. And you discover things about yourself you didn't know you had. And that's the blessing. So we sit up here, grateful, humbled, really humbled. Why? I mean, no different than any of you. We just happen to go through these things. So I think that's the way we would look at it.
Carlos, I know that you had a question. Yeah.
It's not a two-part question, so one, what high school did you go to? And two, based on what you brought me, did you get a statue?
The question is, what high school did I go to, and did I get a statue? So my dad was recruited out here to start the medical school at UCSD. So we ended up at La Jolla. So went to La Jolla High School. So Dad could ride his bike to work, essentially, is why we were there. No statue, no. I kicked my senior year, and they don't forget about you, but certainly you move on. But those are the roots that it was back there. I got to play all the local. We didn't play San Diego High. We played a bunch of the other. We were in the Western League back then, so Point Loma, Claremont, Uni. Were the teams we played. Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe they should consider a statue for you, Rolf. But and then I had seen another hand, a young lady. Okay, we're going to do you, and then that'll be our last question we can take from the audience. But yes, for Darren.
What's when your work favorite job?
How fast am I? I'm not that very fast. I'm not that fast. I started out running 1150 in my 100, and have constantly had to be patient in this whole development. Yeah, I know, it's pretty bad. But it's getting better. It's getting better. I've only been in, I have to keep reminding myself that I've only been running track for 2 years, going to my 3rd year. And I've been able to accomplish a lot, and I have to give myself grace. And this is something I would also end on, like, a word of advice is building a sense of patience for yourself, for other people that you engage with, or for whatever activity that you're doing, understanding that there's mistakes that will happen and things that will have to go, a learning process that you'll have to go through. But right now, my fastest time is 10:93. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's
so, yes, constant growth.
Now, all of our panelists have provided a lot of really good advice, I think, today. But before we get you all out of here, one lasting piece of advice that you want these students to know to help guide them through the rest of their high school journey and through life. Lilli, we're going to start with you.
Well, when I was in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know what career path I wanted to do, and that made me feel stuck. And also having to experience homelessness, but also experience homelessness while during the COVID-19 pandemic made me feel even more lost because we were on lockdown. And with saying that, I've continued to fight and be brave and challenge myself and put myself into situations that are outside my comfort zone to allow myself to grow and surround myself with people that are positive and that will have a positive effect on me and not a negative effect as well. And one thing I would have to say for an advice is it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to not know what you want to do quite yet in the future, because you can't control really exactly every single moment in your life that's going to happen. And one thing that you can control is what you do today. What are you going to do today to help yourself grow, and to also don't let your past family's mistakes and your past traumas to define your future, because they don't define you and like what your future is. So that's not their future, that's your future. And it's up to you how you want to take that and how you want to grow as well, because I feel like for me, I was struggling a lot because I was like, always told that because of what I've been through that I didn't have a successful future, but that's not true. And if any of you guys are feeling stuck of what you want your future to be, or you're not quite yet of how your life is going to turn out, just trust that it's going to come to you, that things are going to happen and you are going to go through barriers, and you just got to keep pushing and being brave and allowing yourself to grow.
I think that's really good. Thank you, Lilli.
For me, I would say, going back to just building a sense of patience with yourself as an individual, giving yourself grace and wanting to grow and being open to a lot of other opportunities, especially with young individuals like you guys. A lot of things are a lot of opportunities you guys are going to endure and embrace along the road with your journey, but also being open and accepting of failure. I think that's one thing that I'm still kind of processing and trying to learn in failure. And this past summer, the one competition that I made my ultimate goal was to win a gold medal in long jump. Because the individual that I went against beat me now 3 times in a row and left me with the silver medal. And it left me with a sour taste, but again, going back with the patience and giving myself grace, I've only been doing it for 2 years. And yet, as much as I would want to win that medal, it's not on my time. It's not during my time or when I want it. It's when God He has aligned for you, and when He's aligned you to be able to build you for that moment. And that's something that I'm learning as a track athlete. We're given 4 years to compete in one or how many events that we do for one summer, and that's a lot. And that's throughout that 4 years that you're going to learn a lot about yourself and endure a lot and have to go through a lot of adversity during those times. And so I would say, learning a sense of patience and being open to failure and enduring it and knowing that, what type of person are you and how are you going to respond to when adversity hits.
Yeah, that's good. And I do think all of the no's get you closer to that yes, and the no's and the failures, because you can learn from failures and they really can be wins. Yes. They make the success so much better.
100%.
So
yep.
The gold is coming your way.
Thank you.
Rolf.
So, we didn't grow up with social media, thank goodness. I don't know how y'all do it. We had letters to the editor, and I missed a kick in the very early part of my illness in a game where the referee actually blew the call. And the next day there were 6 letters to the editor, and 5 of them chastised the referee. Some of you are football fans. I remember the call became known as the Holy Roller Game. Look it up. The referee blew a call, threw 3 calls. We lost the game. The next day, 6 letters to the editor. 5 of them chastised the referee. The other letter said, we didn't lose the game because of the referee. We lost the game because our kicker can't kick short field goals. Now, he was right. He was right. My college roommate happened to be watching the game. He knew I'd take it personally. He wrote me a letter, and he sent me a quote that I pinned on my locker wall, and it went like this. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out where the grown man stumbled or the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who, if he wins, knows the triumph of high achievement, but who, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. It's easy to criticize, especially today. You guys must get it all the time. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. You're not strong enough. You're not. Those guys don't matter. It's the people in the arena, and you're looking at a couple of them right here that make the difference. So have a great life, take on the challenges, and keep growing. Thank you.
All right, students from E3 and San Diego High School, I think you guys have a lot to think about and a lot of great advice that you've received today. I know I feel like I've benefited. I feel like I should be taking notes over here. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much to our panelists, Lilli, Derek, Rolf. Thank you so much. Thank you to SDG&E. Thank you to the Padres Foundation. We're so grateful that you spent today with us. Happy Jackie Robinson Day. Thank you so much for honoring him today in this way by joining us for the Breaking Barriers Forum. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.